encourage all to share their opinions. We do not support any comments that may slander, discriminate, or otherwise offend anyone, and we insist that you refrain from any such statements.
Fellow citizens, near and far, join Newrish Nital on Sugar City 90.3 for Fear No Favor.
Where is man? Where is the cancer man? No runner come out for war.
Tune in to 90.3 on your FM dial. Log on to sugarcityfmsyncits.com or download Simple Radio app from the Google Play Store. And join Newrish Nital every Thursday night from 8 to 10 p.m. as Newrish Nital tackles the issues and take your calls. Fear No Favor every Thursday night from 8 to 10 p.m. on Sugar City 90.3 FM.
Good evening and welcome to Fear No Favor. As usual, I am your host, Newrish Nital, and with me I have in the studio a special guest for tonight. And we're going to have a rather interesting, informative, and instructive discussion. You can call and be a part of this conversation at 466-0903. I think that my guest is going to be here just from 8 to 10. I don't know if his wife would have given him permission to be outside past 9 o'clock. Welcome to Fear No Favor.
Thanks for having me here. Pleasure.
Introduce yourself to the
My name
listening
is
audience.
Romeo Paris, Alfred Romeo Paris, pharmacist and manager and domino enthusiast. Also,
no job.
no, but I'm going to be part of a tournament just now, a draft tournament.
Okay.
Yeah, planning it with the farmer champion. I'm also a Rosicrucian, 10th degree, member of AMAC, and as I say, a practicing pharmacist. So.
What is
Not much.
restitution?
It's the ancient mystical order of the Rose Cross. As you
Okay.
know, the cross represents the tribulation that mankind while on earth will go through. And the flower, the red rose, represent the blossoming of a soul personality as the person mature and evolve in their spirituality, you know.
We have that entity here on St. Kitts Nevis?
We have quite a few members, but we don't have a preneur as yet, so we're working and getting the numbers so that we can establish a preneur, and that's the smallest, and then probably expand to a large. So pretty soon, there are a number of persons who are members, fratters and sorors, who have indicated their interest. So, yeah, sometime in the near future.
What is the prerequisite to become a member?
A sincere desire to know more about the divine and know thyself. You know, that journey into self-mastery. Yeah, nothing magical. It's a hard work. Nothing easy to overcome when it comes to one summit. No mountain is easy to climb, put it that way. So.
Now we're going to talk about, could you give them an indication of what we're going to be discussing tonight, please?
Yes, I also practice in my pharmacy practice astrological medicine, which involves an understanding of how the birth signs can give clues into your health and ailments. What is lacking? It's almost like a first form of diagnosis, and I think if some of the doctors utilize it, they will have greater accuracy. So I employed it in my practice with great success. So for example, I know for a fact that a person born under the sign of Pisces, regardless to how long it takes, will suffer low blood iron at some point in time, and all of the other stuff that goes with it, migraine, headaches, sinus, allergy, tingling in the toes and fingers, and the sort of stuff, mood swings, you know, heartbeat in your ear heavily, asthma, all those stuff that goes. So it makes it easy for me. So when a patient comes with migraine and they say February, March, for example, or May, June, then I know why they have a headache. The lady smiling. Am I onto something? All right. So yeah, so that's what we do, and we with certain accuracy, certain degree of accuracy.
When you say we, are you referring to
At Paris
the
Pharmacy,
business?
the business,
Is there
yeah.
anybody else
On the island.
practicing that?
No. It's an Indian art actually, but it was given to me by the ancestors. I guess because mentally I was ready. You know, knowing my science, chemistry, biology background, might have been ready to accept the theory because at first it seems strange to most people. Yeah, so you know things like sciatic problems and so on, we fix easily. Certain cancers, which are mostly due to blood oxygen concentration, we get them fixed. Migraine is like 2 to 3 minutes fix. Serious muscle cramps, you know, mental illnesses. I have a number of cases where we have helped persons with nervous breakdown and so forth with great success naturally. Because, you know, based on when you're born, based on where the sun is and the vibration in the cosmics at the time, it can affect the individual ego that is being reincarnated, and that can create certain deficiencies in the human body, because you know, the system is based on a 12ness within the universe, you know, so it's based on the 12 pair nerves, the ribs are 12 in the same ratio as the music note, which is the 12 on the chromatic scale. The 12 chakras, the 12 systems of the body, the 12 zodiacs, the 12 months, you know, that 12ness. And it's done with, you know, that each one has a vibration, the 12 tribes of Israel. But so a lot of the times when people read the Bible, they're not recognizing that there's a lot of chemistry that they're reading. They may not recognize that sort of the astrology or even the real meaning of religion itself, which has a Latin origin. And if we study the words, or if some person who do Latinos, you know some of the words, if you just look at them and find out where the origin, what they really mean, it would tell us a lot. You know, so for example, a person who is low iron will be weak. Old people used to say, you ain't look to ferrum, because ferrum is the Latin
For iron.
for iron. And ferrum, the word ferrum come from the Latin ferrat, which means to bear or to bring, that sort of thing. Now when you look at iron in the blood, its real job is to bear oxygen, or to carry oxygenated blood, right? If you look at the Hebrew meaning of iron, you will see it says piety in Hebrew. It's because it's the breath of life. Iron carries it, you know. So you get other information within the language. These ancient language, our ancestors, our forefathers, the Egyptian, because my studies is Egyptian. Yeah.
How long you have been engaged in that practice?
About 20 years I've been
20 years?
studying it, yeah. And
You studied it, but then when did you come public
you mean
with
with
the confidence?
with this one?
Yes.
About maybe 3-4 years ago.
4 years ago.
Yeah, and I remember the first patient that came in was a man named Smith, I think. He drives a bus, a taxi, old taxi bus marked Duke, with a trumpet at the back of the glass. Pretty high guy. So he came in, he says, you know, Mr. Paris, man, I have some pain in my knees. I can't get a stretch up my foot at night. There's so much pain. And so then I just said, you born December, January. And he was like, I'm January, how you know that? So I said, well, just what you said the problem is. And then he told a lot of people that week, so most of the stuff that I had on hand had finished. Yeah. And then it kind of, you know, started seeing people one-on-one. I started putting notes on Facebook, but, you know, you get some criticism and so forth. Then I got called by Newrish radio station. Then the other said, with the cancer people and so forth. And then the awareness, and then on freedom. Yeah, but I've seen a lot of the patients you know.
So do you have a clientele?
Yes, yeah.
You have persons who come back for follow-up treatments?
Yes, for follow-up treatments or for more of the supplements, more of the minerals. It's based on biochemistry. And, you know, it's really biochemistry. It's really treating the body as it is, a collection of cells. The reason why a dead body is a corpse is because it's made of red blood cells, the corpuscles. So if you just forget the trillions of cells and look at the individual cell, we recognize that a cell feeds itself through that membrane. Your mind is more fresh in the biology. The membrane of the cell there, and it's selective, so you can feed the cell. It has its own way of respiration.
Semi-permeable membrane.
Right. They tell you that the red blood cell, the nucleus, has no nucleus, but that is where the cosmic communicates. And the cell, every cell has a nucleus, whether it's visible by the naked eye or not, or by a powerful microscope. It has one, you know, and that is why they communicate. And so we get results.
I did some research briefly sometime today when I had an hour to spare, and I saw the various zodiac signs,
Right.
and they indicate how they can assist you
In
in
your health,
understanding
right?
your health.
Right.
Right?
For serious cases, you go deeper by dividing each zodiac into 12, because the movement of the sun and the moon, you know, the moon has a 28 cycle, so that's 2.5, right, for the 12, right? And the same thing with the sun, the movement. Because some people, you know, just yesterday I was telling a friend, the planets do affect us. People don't seem to think so. A woman doesn't have a menstruation without the moon. She can't get pregnant without the moon. You don't go fishing and be successful any time you go with the moon is better. Even production of coconut oil, a lot of different stuff that affects the moon. So sometimes you get a pain in the body just out of nowhere. What you do, you wait for about 2.5 days and see what happens. And most likely it eases rather than you jumping onto drugs. So, you know, the other thing is that with the zodiac sign, the people, nobody pay attention to them. But it gives you a clue, because most of the words that we know in English actually come from the zodiac. So for example, ferocity, you know, that word ferocity, that come from Ferus, which come from Pisces. We have calibrate, that come from Libra, or equilibrium, you know, those sort of stuff. So it begins with the head, which is the first part of the child that is born, which is Aries, the cerebrum. It's the first and the highest substance that the body can tolerate without causing effects to it, potassium. And then the second is Taurus, which is sodium, because sodium deals with water. Sodium and Aquarius. Taurus and Aquarius deals with water, inwards and outside of the body. Then you have Gemini, which is potassium. Then you have Cancer, which is calcium. Magnesium is Leo. Another potassium is Virgo. Another sodium is Libra. Another calcium is Scorpio. Silica is Sagittarius. Another calcium for Capricorn. Sodium for Aquarius, and Pisces is iron, you know. And they all work together. Some can be substituted for certain things. You know, so you could replace a magnesium salt easily with a calcium and get some results because of the ionic configuration. Right?
Yeah, magnesium has a +2 charge.
Right, like similar to calcium.
Calcium has a +2 because 2A2 magnesium is 2A2 electronic configuration.
Right.
So they both have 2 electrons in the outermost shell.
Right, available. But one of the things I find interesting though is that you know, on a cellular level, right? once the product that we use, once it's titrated or fine enough like those in plants, the results are almost immediate. So I would know if something is on the wall. I could tell a patient, well, try this and wait for 5 minutes. And you get an idea that quick. And like I said, the body can't feel itself. So if you use something that the body doesn't want, it doesn't use it, it stays within your system. That has to be excreted. And there lies some of the problem. So we really should be feeding on soft foods and plant-like substances for the safety of the body. And once the body has those necessary supplements, like in Leviticus 17 verse 11, the Bible says, for those Christians, the life of the flesh is in the blood. So that means if what the body needs is not in the blood, then it's not going to regenerate.
We have people who suffer from low blood.
Mm-hmm.
They become partially anemic.
Mm-hmm.
You have some who are born sickle-celled, meaning that the shape of the cell is more like a sickle instead of like an orange or a sphere. So it cannot hold as much oxygen as it ought to.
Right.
When you attempt to maybe assist somebody who is sickle cell anemic, due to the fact that their condition is basically permanent per se, because of the pairing, you have the pairing of the acids, and the wrong one paired with another, like A was supposed to be with B, C with D, but instead you had A with D. And that is permanent, it cannot be reversed. Such a person would have reoccurrence of pains in the joints and what's not until they maybe reach a crisis situation where the joints are seriously deprived of oxygen. How do you deal?
The pain actually is because the cells begin to shape like a moon, a quarter moon.
Sickle, as a sickle cell.
Right, and it starts punching the walls as it travels because of the point. Now, there is something in astrology called a purification cross. And they are 90 degrees to each other, and it begins with Pisces. So a person who is within the vicinity of Pisces, early Aries, would have low blood iron or maybe sickle cell. The opposite sign as well, which is Virgo, and that's 180 degrees in terms of the circle of the beast. Then you have Gemini, and then the opposite sign is Sagittarius. Those four, you could almost say, would have born in within that period. Beyond, well, the genes are affected by sound and light, as you now know, through recent quantum physics. So these 4 points in the universe is where the sun is exacting more iron, and the patient born in around that time was likely to suffer low blood iron. So we use iron, but instead of using iron sulfate, we use the phosphate. Sulfur doesn't burn as easily, so it wouldn't release its oxygen as easily either. So phosphate would, and it is more magnetic than ferrous sulfate. And so the whole purpose of iron is to carry. That is why it is magnetic. I think it's Fe3 plus.
You got Fe2 plus and Fe3 plus.
Right. So we use the phosphate in these instances. And most cancers, all inflammation is because of insufficient oxygen being carried in the blood. And if you notice, almost all asthmatics are anemic. Right? Asthmatics are anemic. And when they have an attack, you take them to the hospital, you put them on oxygen. So that's the connection right there.
Yeah, but what happens with an asthmatic person? Our lungs are filled with some small sacs called alveoli. In the asthmatic person, the alveoli, they're very small and not as numerous as those in a non-asthmatic person. So the sacs them will remain small.
And again, if that asthmatic is a Gemini, you could easily see why, because Gemini has extra fibrin. That is why most Gemini are handsome or beautiful, right? And the extra fibrin, because they lack potassium chloride, for example, they're going to build up and thicken in the alveoli and in the lungs. You see, so not only the blood going to be thick, pushing out oxygen. You don't have low iron, so the oxygen attraction is gonna be limited. Mucus gonna develop. You're gonna clog up and you're gonna shrink.
But the problem we have sometimes is that when you are anemic, you get your iron injection or you get your iron medication. But the counter side of that is that iron tends to get you constipated.
Right. Not this particular iron, not this plant iron doesn't get you constipated.
When you say plant iron,
The phosphate, that is what the iron in plant is.
okay.
Yeah. So you find like trihemic. If you use trihemic, that brand wouldn't constipate you because it has indocusate sodium, which is just too softener to counter that the constipation. But sulfur would constipate you. The sulfate. There's a sulfate in the ferrous. Ferrous sulfate is what we call it. Yeah.
Ferrous sulfate is iron 2 sulfate.
Yeah.
Ferric sulfate is iron 3 sulfate.
Right,
The
but-
us and the ick. Yeah.
Yeah.
go
But,
ahead.
but we use ferrous
Ferrous.
phosphate instead.
That's the iron 2.
Yeah.
You see, because that is interesting because phosphate is part of the diphosphate, and they combine with another one to form triphosphate, and that is where the energy is tied up.
Even in
ATP.
Right, yeah,
And
even
it
right,
is in triphosphate.
and even in the conversion, if I remember, of sugar to energy, I think it's a phosphate. It binds with right
Yes.
the glucose phosphate 1,6-phosphate or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and that is necessary in the mitochondria of the cells.
Mitochondria.
Right,
That is where energy is
Right.
really produced.
Right.
And inside there you will have ATP, ADP. When it reaches the site, it gives up one of the break one of the bonds of the
Right.
phosphate.
And it's much easier than sulfate. And sulfate.
Yeah, of
Well, as
course.
you know, sulfur doesn't burn easily, so that's one of the problem. So that's better. Even with magnesium too, it's better if you're gonna use for muscle fibers. It's better if you use magnesium, but the best magnesium rather than the citrate again is the phosphate, because magnesium is necessary in muscle contraction.
Magnesium is part of the chlorophyll in
Right.
plants. It is
Right.
essential metal iron
Right.
in plants.
Right.
yes.
Yeah. And I was telling you the other day, I found it rather interesting to see that, the correspondent of magnesium being with the atomic number 12, and the 12ness, that is how they have the system, the Gregorian system. They have a system based on 12, 12 this, 12 that, and so forth, And so there goes some misunderstanding with the Bible and the literal interpretations, which is a big topic, because most persons would think literally that God took a rib from a man and made a woman, and not recognizing that in other scriptures it tells you that everything is created from light, sound, and music. Sound, music is light. And so you could create everything from sound, which has the same configuration as the ribs, which is 7-5.
What I find strange, though, is that they would have developed some zodiac signs based on when persons were born. But the thing that is complexing with that is that they used to have 2 calendars. And in order to have them integrated into one, they had to forego 14 days. So for me, who is the 26th of July, my birthday ought to be the 12th of July. So if that is offset by the fact, so persons who are waiting on the anniversary and the birthdays, they had some civilian outbursts and so. But if that was the case, how could they have perfectly established the zodiac system when persons, the
changed
date
it.
to get the calendars them integrated?
They changed. That's why the Gregorian system.
14 days.
It's the Gregorian system. We are under. So, for example, December, the EC is decimal, is 10, and not 12.
Yeah,
September is 7, October is 8, Nov is 9. So you know they change it up to suit this particular 12 system. It's the Gregorian system. But you see, what happened to the ancestors, they put some information in signs and symbols that cannot change that easily. So, for example, let's look at Libra. Of the 12 signs of the beast, it's the 12 sign in the circle of the beast, all animals except one, Libra. Right? If you look at the word Libra, come from libre, means pound or to measure, and it has a scale. It's in the sign of in the month of October, mostly October, and it has a scale. So October is 8, so 4 and 4 in each pan to give you 8, and then it has the sign of the law. Now the ancients say too much acid in the body is Satan in the church. And they have another saying, the scales of justice will remain slant until the hand of the ram is placed. Now when you look at the opposite sign of October, Libra, it's Aries, the ram, right? Mm-hmm. So it's telling you something. If those scales are off balance, something will be wrong with your mind. Because most Libra have bad temper because of the acidity is in the blood. So it affects the temper and it makes them love music. And it's the 8th, so the infinity sign, going forth and going back and forth, right? So within the sign, it's a scale, and it's where the sun begin to fall. And then you have the change of the season into winter and so forth.
Okay, each person is unique.
Mm-hmm.
And like you say, based on the zodiac signs, that you will be able to adjust certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
and this is generally, and because sometimes to be more specific, you have to go deeper.
You got to go deeper.
Yeah, by dividing the numbers.
That is what I was about to ask.
And then do the geometry, yeah.
What might work for a Leo,
it wouldn't
might
work, right.
not work for...
Exactly. I come across several in my numbering, several persons who are Virgo, but actually have the issues of Saggy. And when I run the number fall within the vibration of Sagittarius. Because in every zodiac sign, it's 12 vibration. 12 vibration and 30 degrees to make the 360 with the 12.
Identical twins.
Yeah.
Identical twins.
Yeah, well, it's identical, but you realize the fingerprint different.
Of course, fingerprints
So
are different.
I don't know when they say identical, what do you mean? The genotype is the same?
They usually would say
Genotype is the same?
they use a twin study.
Yeah.
But twins could be so different.
Mm-hmm.
Could be so different.
And for me, from a mystical standpoint, the twin only has to do with the phenotype, because at the point of the first breath, you never know the quality, the energy, the polarity of the soul that's gonna be entering within the breath, in the breath of life, because it takes that first breath to crank the pulmotor. But you don't know what ego is there waiting to be entered. So it could be feminine. So you have a feminine energy in a masculine phenotype, and vice versa.
But you have this normal debate that has been going on for years. Nature versus nurture.
Mm-hmm.
Where do your practice come with regard to nature versus...
And that, okay. So for example, if I were teaching that the child, the child to be born chooses the parent. The parent is pregnant, but the ego to be reincarnated choose the parent, the place. And remember, they travel at the speed of light. So here different in a moment to America. And it chooses the parent that will bring you the lessons. This is a mystical language terminology. They bring out the lessons that you need, because in every life we would have accumulated karmic debts, karmic energies, as they say, that has to be meted out in life to come. And so usually we'll have 7 options, almost like a predestined. And in the Bible it tells you, and I heard it tonight on the station, that God said the night before you even created your mother's womb. And so each soul has options in which they can be reincarnated. This is the teaching. and you choose the place, the ways, and so forth for reincarnation.
So when you say
So-
man, yeah, sorry.
So you find like in the case of Gandhi, when Gandhi started out, he was racist, and then when he got into true spiritual, and he realized that he ain't gonna say, in terms of how a man is reincarnated, and then he had to accept the theory of reincarnation of the soul energy, and not necessarily in animal form or physicalness.
So even though you might genetically made up a particular way, what about the social environment in which somebody grows up?
Yes, of course. The nurturing, of course, would affect. That is why every country has a particular, what we call a type of consciousness. Every culture has two aspects. It has the artifactual and it has the ideational. And so the idea that is prevalent within the society at the time that the child is born would affect them. And it could affect the health too, because in time to come, the doctor's going to have to be finding out the psychology of their patients. The patient themselves going to have to begin to believe that they can be healed to make the process easier. So there is a psychological aspect to one's health and how they're healed. And as you know, a person who is hospitalized, who is convinced that he will get better faster than the others.
Yeah, psychology plays a part in influencing the physiology.
Right. And you also notice that some people, when they get sick, is when they start to get more spiritual. I don't know if they get fearful, but they become more spiritual and, this other stuff. And it does help. So the mindset of the patient plays an important, as always. And this is one of our teaching in terms of Rosicrucianism.
Yeah, let's take a break and come back.
Fellow citizens, near and far, join Newrish Nital on Sugar City 90.3 for Fear Nor Favor.
Where is the answer? Man, no runner come out for war.
Tune in to 90.3 on your FM dial. Log on to SugarCityFMSinkits.com or download Simple Radio app from the Google Play Store. Enjoy Newrish Nital every Thursday night from 8 to 10 p.m. as Newrish Nital tackles the issues and take your calls. Fear Nor Favor every Thursday night from 8 to 10 p.m. on Sugar City 90.3 FM. Fellow citizens, near and far, join Newrish Nital on Sugar City 90.3 for Fear Nor Favor.
Where is the answer? Man, no runner come out for war.
Tune in to 90.3 on your FM dial. Log on to SugarCityFMSinkits.com or download Simple Radio app on the Google Play Store. Enjoy Newrish Nital every Thursday night from 8 to 10 p.m. as Newrish Nital tackles the issues and take your calls. Fear Nor Favor every Thursday night from 8 to 10 p.m. on Sugar City 90.3 FM.
Welcome back to Fear Nor Favor with my special guest, pharmacist Alfred Romeo Paris.
Ringo.
Now, what about the integration the integration of the various types of
treatments.
treatments.
Yeah,
You think a hybrid might be
I
ideal?
think that's the best approach, actually. Medicine has its role, could, drastically reduce certain things, surgery, cancer treatment, and so forth. But the rebuilding, you can't take away all the job of the body because it is the temple of God, and the Bible says it was carefully and wonderfully made. And everybody in science knows that the human farm begins out as a pen tip and end in an adult, all on its own. And we have to trust the indwelling spirit of God, which is in the air, all around us, in us, all around us, to take care of us. We have to go back to food. So I am working with two persons, namely Ras Dian and Professor, so that they could identify
Herbalist, Professor the herbalist.
right, so that they could identify certain herbal stuff that I could use in treatment. I mean, I already identified some dandelion, which I know growing, blue vein. Dr. Sebi talks about that, excellent for prostate and iron deficiencies, watercress, and other stuff. Once they can identify them and we can get them in large amount, then the intention is to package them and use them for certain treatment, because medicine can't really provide a cure. This is the job of the body. They could ease certain ailments and keep down pressure, but you can't get rid of medicine. Can't get rid of blood pressure. You're gonna be on it for life. But if you change your diet, exercise, our thinking as well, disease is a kind of psychological word on people, because if the body has all that it requires in the blood, then the body will be at ease. You won't have no aches and no pain and no headache, because the blood contains what it requires. When it goes lacking in these items, then you have a dis-ease. So what they've done is remove that hyphen in between there and create the word disease. So instead of saying you have a dis-ease because your body lacks calcium, they say you have a disease called osteoporosis. And that alone, can scare people and make the problem worse.
Yeah, but your system would have to be in equilibrium.
Right.
Despite having what it takes to self-renew and self-adjust and self-adjust, there must be a particular equilibrium to be established in order for it to act.
Otherwise you could get autoimmune.
Yeah. You got your pH,
yeah.
whether alkalinity, acidity, and you need various other stuff. And that is why it is important.
It's 12 basic substances that the body uses, a combination, but magnesium, potassium, sodium, iron, silica, other stuff. When I'm treating certain types of wounds that are hard to heal, I must use silica, I must use iron. Because without iron, the wound will not heal. Iron attracts the healing spirit of God into the body. And without that, oxygen is not going to heal. So sometimes people have surgery, and a year later you hear them say, where the surgery spot is still tender. And when they say that, I already know the person is anemic or has low blood iron, straight up. Yeah, So I know some people might want to call in and ask about the blood and get the general
0903.
The general information, and I could provide that. So acid is a terrible thing. The blood should be close to 8 as possible, because if the acid if it's too acidic, not only the stomach problem, but the body gets weak. Acid pushes out oxygen. You can get cancer easily, much easier, and so
But the funny thing about it is hydrochloric acid is naturally produced in the stomach.
in the stomach.
But even if you have acidic substances in your body, your body does try to create its own equilibrium. Because you could take in something acidic, and as it goes through the bodily reactions, then it will become alkaline within an hour, within whatever time period, depending on how strong the acid is.
Yeah, but the acidity in the blood is of a different purpose with the acidity in the stomach. And the acidity in the stomach wall is protected by a sulfate so that it doesn't eat away. So usually when people say they have stomach burns,
We have a call coming in. Good evening. Welcome to Fear in Our Favor.
Hi, good evening.
Yeah, hi. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, this is Professor calling to pick up Mr. Paris on his efforts to make this contribution to our community,
yeah, thanks,
our
man.
island as a whole. To give you, Mr. Nital, some respect for the work that you have been trying to do over the period.
Much
You know,
appreciated.
And yes, I did enjoy being on ZZ with you some time ago.
Yes.
And, we didn't really get to follow up because of what ramifications or whatever. What Mr. Paris is doing now is very important to the community. I would like the bigger people, the bigger heads, the people who can make positive contribution to the health of the community, to be listening and understanding that if you're going to build a house, for example, and the last house you built, you used 10 bags of cement and you didn't get what you want. Are you going to use 10 bags of cement in this one, or are you going to try another method? What we are asking them to do is to acknowledge the presence and the need for things like naturopathic healing, and like what Mr. Paris is doing. Mr. Paris is taking a conscientious approach to your health because he's having the knowledge of the zodiac contribution. This is something that we have never been educated in schools. We are not going to be educated anytime now because of the system. I am saying that this is a modern time. And things like something as simple as the retrogrades, for example, the cosmic retrogrades. We are supposed to be knowledgeable about it. Let me give you an example. Tomorrow, the 21st of April, Mercury is going to go into retrograde in Taurus. Now, when this happens, people who are Leo, Scorpio, Taurus, and Aquarius are going to be heavily affected by the cosmic power in the air around you. For example, I'm Aquarius, and today was a bad day for me to be in the sun. But I know this because I am studying along the lines that Mr. Paris is trying to, is actually putting out to you that this is a positive way to get your health addressed. We're talking about healing, not relief. We're talking about making you aware. We're talking about the fact that we know your body needs to be alkaline. But do not forget, you need amino acids. You need little things that are not provided by your basic food. Food is one of our biggest problems. The things we put in our mouth that is causing disease and things. We didn't come from an ancestry of diseased people. You're going to get contribution from me. I'm going to make plant contribution anytime I can. But what I'm saying is that if the reason is that black people have not gone back to their method, the original method of feeding themselves. Seasonal. For example, it's going to be spring from tomorrow. We have to eat the things that the spring season brings, because they bring with them certain nutrients that the food that you're going to buy in the supermarket is not going to give you.
Yeah, correct.
Could I ask a question though?
No, you can, because this is what I want to do.
Okay. What we have happening, sometimes persons are not willing to embrace anything regarding like bush per se, because someone would have to have a great deal of experience to recognize, like you, somebody like you, and I hope that you are slowly passing on your knowledge to other persons, because identifying the bush correctly is of pivotal importance, because you have some mushrooms, some of them can poison you if you use them and use them the wrong way. some can be used, some cannot be used, or maybe we have not utilized the various methods and ensuring which ones can be used. Maybe all can be used, I do not know. But what you think about that? I know Mr. Whitaker, Milton Whitaker, he has a book with herbal medicinal use of plants. And
Dr.
you see,
Sebastian.
even if you read the book, you still have to go out there and be able to recognize the bush properly.
That is where people like.
I'm learning some from him, some of the trees, the plants.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
That is where people like Mr. Parrish, the other brethren that we're working with, and myself, we can provide you with basic knowledge. Listen to me, Mr. Nital.
Yes.
You don't need to know all the herbs them around. What you need to be aware of is you need to become one with the herbs around you so that they can help you. For example, Mr. Parrish can tell you, there's a bush called little ironweed. If I bring it and show you, I know that there you see around the place all the time. We don't cut it down with weed eater.
Mm-hmm.
Little ironweed is one of the greatest plants Mr. Parrish can tell you.
For
It's one of the
information.
greatest plants on the
Iron.
universe. And so, a little plant always going up outside of you. You're always cutting it down, you're always coming back.
Purple and then it turns white in the flower. Yeah.
The lack of the spirituality of the local people is keeping them from their true self.
Well, I like how you talk about the spirituality too, because even when I'm treating certain patient, I would talk to the medicine, and give them instruction. So the spirituality is very important. If a patient doesn't think they can be healed, they just won't be healed.
Mr. Nital,
Yes, sir.
you agree with me? We go to the universities, the schools, to upgrade our mind. We go to the gym, we eat good foods, we do exercises to upgrade our body. We think that we go to church on Sunday to upgrade our soul. We do not. Because if we upgrade our souls, we will experience different changes, cosmic changes. You become one with everything around you. You become one with the animals. The animals no longer eat the food that you plant to eat because they understand what they're doing wrong. Because you no longer chase them away. You lead them to the grass that they should eat and you go back over by your food. The plants, you need to become one with the plants. But the spirituality is lacking, and that is what we have to work on initially. Prime Minister, government ministers, local people, whoever you are, the spirituality is lacking. Come and show you something, Mr. Nital. I come outside, a man tell me this is something wrong with something. I come outside, I go and I talk to the thing, even a car, a horse, a donkey. I go say, car, this man say again problem. What the problem is? Because, and you become one with the things around you, Mr. Nital. That's what I'm trying to. That's what I'm trying to.
Yes, I understand.
You become one with. I say, I go to the plant. I say, listen, this man here got a problem. I know you have. We have been proven to do other things, but tonight you are the only plant that can help him because you're the only one available. I am asking you, please, to give him some help with his problem. I know you can't cure him. I will work on that tomorrow. I get the man the plant. The next morning, the man tell me, by then, go up today, like, I feel good because, I drink the thing, and I pass to gas. I went on the toilet, full up the toilet 6 times, ready to go to war. But that is because he listened to his spirit. His spirit tell him, boy, you're trying this, you're trying that. You went. A woman come out to the hospital after 7 days, tell me that they tell her constipation is a natural thing. I take my douchebag. And in less than 5 minutes, she know that constipation wasn't normal again. So what I'm saying is, we need to get together. You went to study medical or pharmaceutical medicine. We have the knowledge from the ancestors, and we are upgrading our knowledge when somebody in our field put out something, we try to get the grasp the cost of it, and we share it with those who would like to learn. That is another thing, is those who want to learn.
How do you deal with dosages though? Maybe that is where people are skeptical. Dosages
are easy. Because if you're going to work with somebody who is doing it conscientiously, I will tell you, if I give you love bush, for example, I will tell you you can eat three leaves of love bush per day. This is because if you overeat or you overdrink or if the medicine is too strong, your liver is not going to start breaking it down. Then your pancreas is going to turn away. You know, the beginning of the breakdown system in your body. If they don't start breaking down things, you won't get them. So I will tell you exactly how. If you're going to drink tea, you can't expect tea to give you the relief that a spoonful of the same medicine would give you. You agree? If you have a cold and you drink some love bush for the cold, the cough is gonna cut down. You're gonna stop sneezing so much. You're gonna get relief. I am talking about cure for the cold. I go to get some whitehead milky, pump it up with some sea salt, squeeze out the juice. You give you a teaspoonful until you drink that and go lay down. You cough twice, and when you go lay down, you wake up. You feel better. The cold is gone. You have a little bit something, a little cough in your throat, but the cold is gone.
But you don't believe our efforts that can be refined a bit. Instead of saying take 3 leaves of this, you could, for example, get to know that it would take 2.5 or just 2. You understand? So is it a matter of we have to start agro processing some of these bush and doing the abstracts and
that's what
be able to do qualitative and quantitative analysis?
This is I'll have the one here. If you give me the mic here, I can get to talk easy. But apart from that, listen, what I am doing is I am going through the process of learning more and doing what I've already learned and I've practiced for a little while. I used to come with Ras Bobby, right? And when Ras Bobby is gone, I will sell my products, and the people believe that it's only Ras Bobby products I'm selling. I'm selling your product that you're coming back for, that I am making, because I learned how to extract that and what application it is for and what the dosages would be. Sometimes I try it out on me. Sometimes I have a nephew or sister or cousin, somebody who say, I tell the doctor, no, you can't do nothing for me, I say, we'll go on a program. For example, I have a lot of obese people thanking me right now because even though they haven't lost the 40 pounds that I promised them they will lose, they're seeing I'm putting on my pants, dropping down, the weight on my arms are going, and I am not doing anything special. I'm going in your kitchen, taking up the things from your kitchen, showing you how to use them. But what I'm saying is, it ain't paying me no money. And this is not about money. This is about the education of the masses. We are lacking a lot of education that should have been taught to us as basic knowledge. And so, if we find people reaching out now, we have to generate interest.
I mentioned earlier on about the importance of the ideational factor in the culture. You see, how people think, how we come about to think in a particular way is influenced to a large extent by, by different factors. Government can help change the tone or the consciousness over a period of time with respect to a lot of things. If you notice, we are living fast pace, and the pace is too fast compared to the natural cycles of life that are taking place in nature. So you're gonna get sick because the rhythm is off. Nobody is educating us about food and all of those other ills.
How do you know when to use a bush in its green form or when to use it in its dried form? Because what we have to understand, when the bush is in its green form, you have quite a high percentage of chlorophyll. Right. And chlorophyll has at its essential cation magnesium. You might not want to be using magnesium for a particular ailment or as much of it. So when do we know whether to use a bush? But the old people used to say just dry it. Dry the bush, don't boil it.
What about the roots?
Because when you boil it now, the magnesium, the chlorophyll will come out. And chlorophyll might be a bit awkward for you. Because, you know Epsom salt is magnesium sulfate. And when you want to go off over the summer, you use that. So likewise, if you use a high percentage of green bush that is filled with magnesium, that might have a similar effect.
Yeah, you see, but Mr. Nital.
Yes.
What we have to look at is the wider picture, right?
Yeah.
If you use a bush that is high in magnesium,
yes.
the first benefit is that it protects you from heart attack. A lot of people who got heart attacks, right? When they came and told me that they were having chest pain, I told them it's lack of magnesium. They're telling me no. The doctor said that they must keep off of sodium and they must keep off of this and they must keep off of that. The doctor was taught what he was taught, how he was taught it, to come and peddle the drugs in the drugstore. We were taught, and we are still learning. We were taught that the herb is the healing in the nation is Genesis 1:29.
Yeah, when they speak about the herb, are they speaking specifically about one herb, or are they using herb as a general heading?
When the Bible says herb, he ain't talking about ganja. He's talking about the herb. The
When you
herb.
speak of the tree of life, though, it really is, from my mystical understanding, the nervous system.
The nervous system is the tree of life.
And the river, the spinal column is the Jordan, the River Jordan.
And that's the River Jordan. But you see, that those are the stories that needed to be deciphered when they were told to us.
Well, to be honest and to be fair, and I will blame the adults, because in order for children to understand certain things, the Bible is used as a moral guide. And in order for children to understand certain things, you have to deliver it to them in their level of consciousness. Now, as we get older, that interpretation should have been changed to maybe the allegorical or the mystical interpretation, but it wasn't. So they still expect adults who have degrees to give the same literal interpretation of the Bible. So instead of seeing as a child that Daniel in the lion den, that when now you are adult, is what the Bible means when it says that your soul is amongst lions. So instead of seeing it as a literal lion in a den, you should see it more of the effect of certain emotions on the body and on the heart, because Leo represents the lion, and it is August, and that mineral associated with muscle is magnesium phosphate. So of course, if you're born in August, you're going to lack magnesium phosphate, and you might have heart issues, heart attack. Most people with heart attack are Leo, because the magnesium is insufficient, as well as the oxygen. So they would say the lion, they would use magnanimous and ferocious to describe the lion, but it's really physiology is magnesium and ferrous.
And iron.
Yeah, and for work, muscle must have energy, which is the iron, bringing in oxygen. So yeah, the pain in the chest is magnesium needed.
Exactly.
And the doctor will call it angina because it goes down to the finger, pectoris.
You see, we need to give this knowledge widely. We don't need them to go doctor and the doctor behind the door telling them something. I don't have anything against doctors. Some of my greatest friends are doctors.
No, but as Nital rightly said earlier, and they can be incorporated. So if I see a particular patient, from the time I know it's August, I'll have an idea what's taking place and what you should give to check the system.
I will tell you something that you may not know. Every year, United Nations gives our government a grant to help with naturopathic healing and the likes of what Mr. Paris and I are doing. When I went to the ministry, the person who was there told me, the money, that's come now, but that's yes, they said other things. I said, well, no, that the people are showing an interest. Wouldn't you just give, I don't want to pay. I want you to give the opportunity for the people, other people who want to hear something different, to hear it and know that the government they are nothing against it. They tell me no, they can't do anything. I was walking out of government headquarters. This lady named Miss Adams, she was the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Establishment Division or whatever they call the Establishment Division. She said to me, you dressed too nice to have such a sad face. I said, well, I didn't get what I wanted. She said, come in the office. And I went in there, the woman give me chairs to keep me seminars. The community centers free of charge. And the Ministry of Health turned me down. So this thing got to get to the government leaders now. They say they change. We got a new set of people. They're interested in new things. let me see the new thing them there. I don't have anything against anybody. I talk the same way I talk about the opposition when they were in opposition or in power is the same way I'm going to talk about everybody. Everybody, I want you to hold yourself to the standard that you say you set. Come, let's do this thing. I'm telling you again, the bush them outside your fence. That's where picking them from giving you to go make tea inside your house. I gave the iron weed to a lady. There's a bush called dog blood. They call it dog blood, we call it popololo. It'll be a little red flower, a little red ball, like conker berry, but it's smaller. When you squeeze the ball, your fingers look like blood on it, so they call it dog blood from the Jamaican people. We call it popololo from long time, right? We give it to children when they eat it. All right. When a woman drinks this,
go ahead, sorry, go ahead.
In a minute. When a woman drinks this bush, just tea, as tea, right away it corrects all her menstrual problems, whether it's cramp, whether it's flooding, whatever it is. It also, a lady who came to me one time complaining how much time she trying all kind of fertilization things to get pregnant. I give her popololo. I tell her, drink dog blood for 3 days before your menstruation. And then it's going to increase your chances of getting pregnant. My boy, I'm not telling you no lie. The lady could call you and tell you that I'm telling you the truth, and she could come in front of you and tell you it's me. The woman get a child because the dog blood popololo went in her body and corrected things. She was the work that she was doing, and then she would go in the night after work and she would walk in front of deep fry. So the belly is getting a lot of different things. I say, lady, come let me give you a simple solution to all of that. Get some castor oil. Put a towel on your belly, wet it down with castor oil, tie a plastic bag on it, wrap it up, and sleep for 9 days. 9 days later, she came back, she pushed $100 in me and said, me ain't got no money, but I'll give you something because you're helping me. Look, when you look at the lady coming across the road, you could have seen the belly gone. You wondering if you cross the corner waiting or not.
I saw a documentary. I saw a documentary on that last 2 weeks.
Yeah, but I'm saying that this is what my grandmother told me. My grandmother died in 1973.
And that is what I was about to ask. When you have the confidence going forward in assisting people, who would have been the originator, the original source of such an experiment, so to speak? Because, in modern time, they put a group together. They might do a pilot project with a few persons if they want to try out A or B. You understand? They want to try out A or B. And then after the results, they have discussions. And then they move on from there. Where do we go from here? How do you remember everything that your mother or grandmother would have told you? Is there a need to tweak it here, tweak it there, to get it improved?
Well, you see, what we lost. You see, this is in the 60s. You were going for the bush. This one name says, she show you them. You know them, what the names. You tell you what they for, and you ain't studying it. When I started to study, it was like 1974, 73, 74. When people were coming back from St. Thomas with consumption, you know what they call consumption?
I would have thought it would, but never took the time out.
TB.
Yes.
TB was killing people, right? And they were going to St. Thomas and kill themselves still to work. But when you get TB down St. Thomas, they send you home, and if you get better, you can go back.
But hold on a second there. You mentioned something earlier about some popololo bush.
Yeah.
And that the person get pregnant.
Yeah.
Well, from my studies in astrological science as well, the same bush, if it help with the pregnancy, the same bush should be good for TB.
But that was good for TB. That's what I tell you, popololo.
Yeah, you see, because and the reason for that is it must be that it contains, and this is where we could team our knowledge. It must be that bush is high in calcium sulfate.
It is high in calcium sulfate. It is also high in magnesium.
Because I know what calcium sulfate will do
And
to the body.
It has iron. It has ferric.
And the
iron.
stomach wall, okay. Yeah.
You know, we have ferric and ferrous iron. It has
Yeah, the
ferric
calcium sulfate will go with ferrous, with iron as well, because remember, the body converts a red blood cell into a germ cell or sperm in the testicles, and calcium is one of that. It's
And then
needed for that.
the honey is also helpful in the testicles. But
Yeah,
I'm
the
saying that
fructose, the
if a
sugar.
man, no, if a man drinks dark blood, right, it actually helps him also. For some reason, the man who drank it with the woman told me that he wanted some more. I'm telling you, this lady that I gave, the last person I gave it to, the last two
But
people.
there's a reason for that, because I'm laughing because the sperm, the head of the sperm, the shell, is calcium sulfate.
Exactly.
So that's why he said he helped him.
But yeah, but
So this is what I'm saying to you. I've been saying to you too, that once you know the bush and you could say what they're for, I could then bring in the chemistry knowledge, and say, and the physiology, and say, well, that means it contains. And even if you have to run some tests,
Okay,
yeah.
Mr. Nital,
Yes, go ahead.
this one is for you.
Somebody from the
I don't
UK
know
is
if you
trying to
enjoy
call in.
Somebody, wait, there's somebody trying to call in.
Yeah.
Wait there.
No problem.
Yeah, wait a second. The number is 1869 466 0903.
Say it again.
1869 466 0903. Go ahead now, Herbalist.
Yeah, so I was telling the lady who I gave the Popololo to, two ladies recently that I was working with. I gave it to people all the time. Now, the first one came back and told me, it's a little bit about I want some more. So I'm saying, well, what's happening to you? She said, well, I did the thing and I went to lie down, and when I get up, I noticed. When I went to lie down, I had a pain in my left side. It just come and go sometimes. And the pain just went. So I said, well, I'm going to drink some more. She drank the bush. She found out that she period come down and she didn't even know. Because she normally gets the cramps before the one that things coming down, right? But the cramps weren't there. She told me she lost a headache that she had for a very long time. A dude in care and called me and tell me that the same thing about the thing, the bush. I gave her up the bush called Little Ironweed. And Mr. Nital, I will get it to you. I have your number somewhere in my phone. I will show you a picture it sometime.
Yeah, you have it.
I have your number right there.
Now you know that she they call the yellow bell.
Yeah.
You realize goats and sheep do not eat the yellow bell. So
Yeah, they don't.
people tend to put them up around the fences because the goat and them would not eat them down.
But
And you know what? You know why though?
But eat the rainforest.
Because it has in cyanide.
It has cyanide in it and the goat
Yes.
is
Right. They will
But
get poisoned.
I will assure you that if the goat comes across something like lanate or heavy rat poison while it's eating grass, it will go up on the fence and eat that yellow bell. And the yellow bell will lick it out clean. I was showing somebody jar juice this morning. Jar juice is the thing that sent a lot of Rasta man crazy. You think it?
Yeah, because it felt that it used to give them extra strength. They
Yeah,
feel they
that's
could
right.
lift up a house after that.
It is a hallucinogen.
Professor, question to you. Blue vein.
Yeah.
Could that be successfully used in what do you call it, contraction, spasms?
Well, yes, for spasms, it can be used for spasms because of the nature of the plant.
Okay.
Right?
And the potassium.
It's like something like cayenne pepper. It doesn't burn you. But when you have a proper cup of blue vervain tea, when you drink it, it goes from your head to your toes. You feel it, like when you get goosebumps run over you. You actually feel it. And if you add a little cayenne pepper to it, it also enhances it. But to get back to a question that I did not answer before, when you use the plant green, what you're doing is extracting from the chlorophyll of the plant. You see, from the life of the plant. You want the life chlorophyll. so that when you drink it, it still has a certain tendency to be moving around. And the body would be accepting it a different way. The difference between the dry plant and the green plant is a simple one. When the plant is dry, there is a chemical in it to keep the green plant as one unit, so that the compounds wouldn't be booting up and down on each other. It will just be a vervain leaf. But when it is dry, that chemical no longer holds the ingredients together. So it comes out of the bush easier. You use less bush to make the same amount of tea, and the tea turns brown instead of green. So there are applications, for example, King of the Forest is a very great plant. King of the Forest is good. It's so good that if you constipate it and you use it, you use the flowers, it gives you a bowel movement in about 10 minutes. It is like that. But if you're going to use King of the Forest for it's good for ringworm. Old people call it ringworm bush. If you're going to use that for ringworm, you have to extract the green sap from it and store it in beeswax or soft candle and make an ointment. I've just done that for somebody who had a rash on their head, and they're not calling me to tell me they want anything. They're not calling me to tell me that their head was in there. So it means that it's working. This is the only problem I have with many people. You need to call me and tell me why it's still working. So I have a patent here. I have a formula here that I use. And I know, well, okay, this is a good one. It needs a little adjustment. And we are in chemistry in school, Remember that? So we have the knowledge that in order to make compounds, we have to be doing something precise. Or we just ain't doing nothing. You agree? So we get the knowledge that is necessary. But because the plants are made by the Almighty, He also made it simple for us to be our own doctor.
Again.
I was telling you, when people come up here with tuberculosis, we used to heal them with blue vervain and jumbo and kiss me. Jumbo and kiss me, you go in your garden in front there?
Yes, I've heard of it.
Jumbo and kiss me is people like as a flower in the garden.
So why don't we build? Why don't we get a museum, so to speak, right? Displaying and trying as much as possible to get something close to the living plant, and have them labeled, so young school children, whoever we're trying to get integrated into the overall effort, could be able to recognize these same plants. Because sometimes it's difficult to recognize them when they would have gone dry.
I went to Utah for a herbal conference, vitamin herbal conference, and went into a herbal store next to our Walgreen, and you'd be surprised to see the amount of roots and herbs and grains that the people have, not like how we have down here. That's why I came up with the idea of the barrel, and I would sell cashew and almond out of the barrel so you could scoop up the amount you want. Herbal stuff, and more busy. This is in Salt Lake City, more busy than in the Walgreen pharmacy next door. So we got to get back into it. When I was growing up, my forefathers, my adopted parents is bush to use, and they never used to be sick. And they work in the field, so the sun also has some benefits as well.
I want to talk about constipation just for a minute. Constipation is not fully recognized. I say that because when we don't have a bowel movement one day, we are told that it is okay. And then it is not okay. You just eat 3 plates of food and none come out. So how could that be okay? And then when we take a booklet or something that is not herbal, what happens is that it places the whole straight through the simple matter. So you get a little bit of stool come out and you feel, well, you went off. You didn't go off. If you're not coming on the toilet with stool, you ain't went off yet because it's constipated, you say you were. So people are constipated daily and they think that it's normal. No, it ain't normal because that's where your pants stop with you. That's where you're getting them ugly love handles. That's where your belly dropping down and everything.
I want you to call back in a while because you have some persons who are trying to get in, and only one line we have available. I want to take you up on that.
I'd like to say this. I know this time the money that the was going to be used for a good purpose. Thank you. If I don't get that in, We'll talk again.
Okay, most certainly. Yeah, we have some persons trying to get in. And he was correct with the high stomach and the love handles
Yeah.
because you have feces being stored in there. Like I told you, I saw a documentary where
Yeah.
this guy died and he had over 50 pounds. Somebody's trying to get us some, notice. Good evening. Welcome to Fear in Our Favor.
Is this a
Hello.
radio show?
Yes, it is.
Thank
Oh,
you.
because I know the one caller, I was listening, I wanted to ask a question, but I see the guy just keep going.
Yeah, my apologies.
No problem.
We-
I'll
we-
call back.
Yes. Yeah, but you can go ahead now, yes. Yes, they indicated that it was 50 pounds
Yeah.
of feces
There's a
stored
procedure
in
that
the
they do,
colon.
you know, to clean the colon, because the colon is 33 feet long, 32 feet long from mouth to anal, and so
The loops.
loops as well, you know. And sometimes if the body lacks elastin, it makes it even more difficult, you know.
Yeah, some of you are trying to get in. You can get us at 466-0903. And my sincere apologies for having the herbalist for an extended period of time, but he's one of the several teachers we have around, and sometimes you never miss an opportunity to learn something. When you have learning and teaching moments, you tend to capitalize on that.
We definitely going to work together. What I'll probably do is use the rest of my time to just outline some generalities for persons born within a certain time who might want to know. So as you know, Pisces is iron, it's the two fish. The fish is in the ocean, so Pisces represents depth, extremities. So that's why people will have problem in their fingers and their toes. They will have headaches because the head is also the extremities and the fingers and your toes, and mood swings and the sort of stuff. If they are Taurus, then it's a problem of water, edema, and other skin issues. If they are Cancerian, chances are they will have backaches, maybe a prolapse uterus because of elasticity, or cobweb in the brain, as old people say, memory slipping, and the sort of stuff. Gemini is thick blood or blood clots, low iron, and sleeping issues, overthinking. Leo is the heart, the lion, so it's muscles and problem to do with the heart and so forth. Then you have Virgo. Virgo rules the solar plexus and all of the bowels. So most Virgos will have issue of with the bowel and so forth. You know. Then you have Libra, which is acid and so forth. And those who suffer from gas and that kind of stuff, indigestions. Scorpio would be stomach and bones. Capricorn definitely arthritis, some nerve issues, some panic and fear and so forth. Aquarius, if they lack the salt balance, then it's autoimmune problems like lupus and so forth. Aries is mostly the mind, the fire sign. Saggy, you'll hard to find a Sagittarius that doesn't have a cholesterol issue. So those are the general. And then, you know, a lot of the other problems circulate around there. If Taurus, for example, would have problem in the back of the neck, swollen ankles, and the Down syndrome kind of thing, you know. Yeah. What about you? Have anything you would like to know about yourself? Put it to test.
Well, you told me some things already about me, my asthma and so forth.
Oh, you're Pisces?
Aquarius.
Aquarius, right, February, March, yeah. Right, so you have to step up on your iron and just get a good quality one. Natural products. Find out the foods, all of those raisins and prunes and all those stuff high in iron. The dark fruits are the one that high in iron, so you could stuff from those. And when your iron is low, you're gonna find yourself urinating. So most of the time, the doctor will say the male maybe is prostate, and the female will say a blood infection. But it's really iron that is lacking to bring in the for the sphincter muscle, the oxygen for the sphincter muscle. And if you change your food, you notice it will ease up and so forth. But most people get frightened if they hear there's an issue with bladder control. And that makes it worse. It's like it's what do you call that negative, reaction on the body.
Usually, when you recommend something, for example, if you recommend something for an infection, some of the medication they ask you not to use the dairy products because apparently they're not soluble in dairy products. They might say use water. Some might say take with food. Okay, somebody's trying to get in.
Tetracycline is a good example of that.
Yeah. Good evening. Welcome to Fear in Our Favor.
Yeah, that's me again, Professor. I was just want to make a last input before you go.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I would like to talk about cleansing the body.
Detoxification.
You were talking, Mr. Paris was talking about the bowels. You were talking about the fact that 50 pounds of stool was found during autopsy. I witnessed that myself, right? The bucket, the 5-gallon bucket full of stool coming out of the intestine. So you know that from a long time I heard one of these, what is his name? A Western man, one of these Western men. When he died and the operation was performed, that's the first time I heard that the bowels will have 50 pounds of stool. Come, let me tell you something. Young people, learn what a douchebag can do for you. What we call a douchebag. Mr. Nital, you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, those
Red
older
bags,
folks. Red bag and you put in your water and you flush, yes.
Warm water.
I have been going around the islands, the 2 islands. People with Nevis call me. Somebody in Guadeloupe to come down there and tell me that I will get a lot of jobs. I am looking a lot of jobs. I'm looking for people to get the knowledge and spread it and use it and utilize it to your benefit. Okay.
But do they still sell them around? Are they still around being sold?
Yeah, I order them from Miami when I can get them, and as soon as they come, people buy them from me. Because I go to your home. It's a kind of personal procedure, but you have to do it. You have to clean your colon. So now I'm going to tell you 2 easy ways to clean your colon, and I'm going to do this just because Mr. Paris is with you.
Bitter bush.
All right. Apart from the bitter bush, you get a pen, 2 tablespoonfuls of papaya seeds, 2 tablespoonfuls of pumpkin seeds, 1.5 glasses.
Start again.
Of,
Start again.
coconut milk.
Start again, please.
2 tablespoonfuls of papaya seeds, 2 tablespoonfuls of pumpkin seeds, 1.5 glasses of coconut milk. Blend them together, strain them, add 2 tablespoonfuls of honey, and you drink 3 glasses per day. 1 in the morning, 1 lunchtime, 1 in the evening. You only have to do that for 2 or 3 days, maybe just 1 day. And when you go to the toilet, you will thank me. Because you're going to pull it on the first flush, you're going to pull it on the second flush, and you're going to pull it on the third flush. They might not come consecutively, they might come 5 or 10 minutes apart. You're not going to have diarrhea. You're going to remove the stool from your body, okay? And cleanse and detox the colon. You're not going to get any hemorrhoids anymore if you do this once a month. So go ahead eating your lot of chicken and whatever you need to eat because that's what the supermarket is selling. But cleanse your colon. Now, here's another one. 1 slice of pineapple and a cucumber. A little bit, a half of a lime juice, a half of lime, the juice from half of a lime. Put them in the blender.
Right.
Strain them. Drink 1 glass 3 times daily.
The pineapple skin helps with the fiber.
Right? Mr. Nital?
Yes, I'm.
It helps cleansing the colon, the kidney, the liver, the bladder, it will agitate the pancreas to start moving insulin again, producing insulin. And all this because you went to the kitchen and you do the right thing, the right foods. Now I'm telling you these combinations are working because I have here. I am going to strain off in 5 minutes. I'm going to strain off something that I'm doing for weight loss, and it's working. It's working well. But I'm not going to disclose this one as yet because I've been paid $1. I need to get $5, and then I'll tell everybody what they get me.
All right, man.
But seriously, it is simple. Papaya seeds are very useful to you for cleansing purposes. So always blend them and strain. If you want to do it by itself, you're going to clear up your eyes. Take 1 drop of castor oil in your eye every night before you go to sleep. Break up the cataracts. Don't let them give you no laser surgery. 1 drop of castor oil, if you can make it yourself, is better. Because you know it will be pure castor oil. Grind castor seeds. Grind the seeds, boil them in a little water. Boil them until you see the oil on top of the water. Take a spoon, take it off, put back the oil on a low fire till all the water evaporates. When it's cool, put some cotton in a funnel, throw the olive oil, the castor oil in there. It will take out all the water and impurities.
So do they sell virgin castor oil?
Yes, they do sell virgin castor oil, but I just showed you how to make your own.
I understand.
Around the place. Just get the seeds, the green and the dry seeds, crush them with a mortar and pestle, boil them, and skim off your own castor oil. Don't drink any, because it makes you infertile. Don't drink no castor oil. Castor oil is not to be drunk.
That's where the word. That's where the word. That's where the word castor come from. Castration, castor oil, castor and pollux, and the Gemini, the twins.
The ladies who are suffering from fibroids, cysts, endometriosis, get a towel, put it on that plastic wrap that you don't wrap food in. Put the towel on that. Soak it with castor oil for about 15-20 minutes. Tie it around your belly and go to sleep. If you have gallstone, kidney stone, all of these will help you. Mr. Paris has the castor oil. Go and buy it from him.
Why you finish? They finish it.
No, I'm just putting it straight. I'm saying this. I want the people who are hearing me to benefit something from what I have said.
See.
If you have fever and a little cold, you get 3 cloves, 2 garlic, a piece of ginger, a piece of turmeric, put them in the mortar and pestle, throw some boiling water on top of it, sprinkle in a little cayenne pepper. You'll be good to go tomorrow.
The iron weed too.
Huh?
The little iron weed good for the fever.
I got fish weed here for those who have prostate problems. I am telling you, I met a man who was in the hospital who was going to be operated upon. And I gave him fish weed to drink, and the next morning the doctor come and he push up his face crying, no money for an operation.
What about the singing echo?
Yeah.
The stinging echo is very good for that also.
The red one, right?
The thing about stinging echo.
The red stinging nettle?
Huh?
The red stinging nettle?
All the stinging nettle. The one that is running right on the ground. That is very good for diabetes and the prostate. That is very good for the prostate.
Okay.
The other one that everybody could pick because it goes elongated and really spread out. That is good for diabetes. Very good for diabetes. But it also is good for the prostate. But the one on the ground is the one that goes straight to your prostate, just like the fish meat. You can use piece of bed for people who, when you feel like you want to use
man better man.
to the toilet, you ain't run no more. Piece of bed. No, I'm saying the word piece because we say a lot of other words on the radio now. And this is what it's called. It's called blind dog. You call it piece of bed.
Yeah.
Right? It has a yellow flower on it. A lot of people know it. There's a food on it that we eat as small children when we want to go home with us. Right? No, if you had to run to the bathroom to urinate and you drink that bush, you stop. I am telling you, because after my stroke, I had that problem.
Because it contains iron. And that bush contains what? High in what?
Iron, It is iron and sulfide. It's sulfuric also.
Right.
So it's iron sulfide, and you have complex compounds in it.
So when are you going to make an effort
I was
and
just gonna
invest?
I was just gonna ask him when you're gonna come
Invest.
on the program.
I mean, you can come on with me, but I also want to know what would it take for you to put these plants,
Yes.
samples thereof, in a location, in a building,
Well,
where persons can come and learn them.
I am always willing to do that. I have always been willing to do that. And but most of the people who said they would sponsor, after they go to the cremation meeting and the people them talk to them, they tell them, no, you want a cure. You don't want a cure. What you want a cure for? How the doctor them will make money? The doctor don't make money still. The doctor's job is to diagnose and tell you what they know. My job is to tell you how to help the doctor get his job done. So we're supposed to work together.
Well, Nathan made that clear earlier, how we could combine the different ideologies. My teaching is that our mind is supposed to be like a double-hinged door, swinging outwards with our thoughts and inwards with those of others. So I am willing to, in the benefit of humankind, I mean, that's my oath to believe pain and suffering are not necessary to get rich.
Tell me that I'm 62, so I am retired now. I laugh at that because they never give me life how they don't retire me. Listen to me. Whatever was going on before, I have now invested into the mechanism that I want to push me forward with this thing. I even have a distillery now that, as I speak to you, I have it here steaming out because it's brand new. And I'm going to do my product and get a place. If I got to buy a bus and cut it up and go like wobble up, that's what I'm going to do.
When you say a distillery, what are you distilling?
Well, I'm going to distill products. I'm going to make products like tonic wines. I'm going to distill water for everything that I'm going to do. And then I'm going to make distilled teas. I'm going to boil the tea, pass it through the distillery, add the ingredients as would be necessary, and give you a proper tea that can go on the shelf, and when you open it, you put it in the fridge.
So you're using distilled water.
Yeah.
And that is key because if you have water that is not distilled, it can have in certain contaminants. They chlorinate the water, and chlorine could be part of it. Matter of fact, when chlorine combined with organic substances, they can form byproducts that are carcinogenic, cause cancer.
Complex compounds. So three people who know exactly what happened to your body talking at the same time right now. Because you know that you're very versed in chemical knowledge.
Yes, I'm a chemist as well.
I'm listening to three people who care about them and are asking them to take up the mantle. I am ready at any time. If a man come me now and tell me, "Boy, I got a whole house down there, you want and a roof, I want to do, you could use it at that time if you want to," I'm glad.
Anyways, Professor, we're going to have to choose a time to come back on for the full 2 hours. I got to make my journey out in the countryside. So you're going to have to come back and spend the 2 hours.
Yeah, and whenever you want to.
So instead of calling on the phone, you'll be in the studio.
We will give you a donation for letting us come on your show and occupying it for the night. Okay?
To God be the glory.
One last thing before I go. Don't throw away your watermelon skin.
Yeah, I saw a documentary indicating that you must blend it with the skin on it.
Blend it with the skin on, right? Put a half a lime juice in it, and when you don't strain it, put in a little bit of cayenne pepper.
There's high nitrous oxide or something?
Yeah, I know that is good to improve your sexual prowess, yes.
So the people can go home now and be smiling when they watch the TV because they know it. Anyway.
You just say you retire.
I feel free. I feel like a boss.
All right, man. Yeah, peace.
Okay.
Take care. Let us take a break, and then we could allow Mr. Paris to leave because he was supposed to leave since 9 o'clock.
Fellow citizens, near and far, join Newrish Nital on Sugar Soda 90.3 for Fear No Favor.
Where is one? Where is the dancer man? No runner come out for war.
Tune in to 90.3 on your FM dial. Log on to SugarCityFMSankits.com or download Simple Radio app on the Google Play Store. Join Newrish Nital every Thursday night from 8 to 10 p.m. as Newrish Nital tackles the issues and take your call. Fear No Favor every Thursday night from 8 to 10 p.m. on Sugar City 90.3 FM. Fellow citizens, near and far, join Newrish Nital on Sugar City 90.3 for Fear No Favor.
Where is one? Where is the dancer man? No runner come out for war.
Tune in to 90.3 on your FM dial. Log on to SugarCityFMSankits.com or download Simple Radio app on the Google Play Store. And join Newrish Nital every Thursday night from 8 to 10 p.m. as Newrish Nital tackles the issues and take your call. Fear No Favor every Thursday night from 8 to 10 p.m. on Sugar City 90.3 FM. Near and far, join Newrish Nital on Sugar Soda 90.3 for Fear No Favor.
Where is one? Where is the dancer man? No runner come out for war.
Tune in to 90.3 on your FM dial. Log on to SugarCityFMSankits.com or download Simple Radio app on the Google Play Store. And join Newrish Nital every Thursday night from 8 to 10 p.m. as Newrish Nital tackles the issues and take your call. Fear No Favor every Thursday night from 8 to 10 p.m. on Sugar City 90.3 FM.
unification, building a brand new nation. We'll move on together hand in hand. Rise, citizens, arise. The country is yours, all yours, still yours.
Welcome back to Fear in Our Favor. And we really did enjoy the first segment of this program, and we're hoping that we can have many more like that because people become informed, people being given options, and people would start making wise decisions. Something we got to get out of that little circle that we're in and explore other things, but we must be most careful. Everything must be in sync, and I think an integration of different things can serve us best as a hybrid, and that hybridization can work better for all of us. Now, I want to look at a situation here where our good PM would have made some statements, and some people are taking him to task for the statements that he would have made. And I refer specifically to the problems at JNF Hospital. Now, there are situations there that all of us are aware of, because whether the Prime Minister comes out and he speaks about it, there are workers at the hospital who are speaking about these problems on a daily basis. Sometimes invited, sometimes uninvited. They strike up the conversation and they pump you up with the information. And I think we would have asked for openness. And I think this is exactly what would have happened. We'll talk about the two sides of it. We had things happening, and some persons felt as if it might not have been in the best interest of the hospital for certain things to be disclosed. I totally disagree with that, because our people would feel better knowing that problems would have been identified and they are being addressed. You cannot ameliorate a situation unless you know of that situation that you're trying to improve upon. And when the Prime Minister, Dr. Joe, indicated that we have a problem with this equipment, we have a problem with that equipment, I think that it needed to be said. It needed to be said. Not for persons to go on the compound, go in the environment, only to be told this is not working, that is not working, that is not working. Sometimes people can become very disgruntled. Sometimes people psychologically could be damaged as a result of getting shock and awe when they go to an institution that they would have expected to be functioning in certain areas. So if the good Prime Minister came out and he made people aware, whether it was under the previous administration or even the one before that, or maybe it might have started recently, there are still problems that we need to address. There is nothing to be gained from hiding the fact that we have problems at every, even the most developed of countries. They have problems with the healthcare systems. The Prime Minister came out and he just listed a few of them, are the major ones. And people are taking him to task as if it's he who would have caused these problems. No, you can't do that. We have to be fair. You have to give the young man a chance. He is developing, he's nurturing his approach. And as far as I'm concerned, the approach is going nicely thus far. Come and let us know what we have to offer. Of course, some people might say, well, the news is global now and people will be hearing this. Yes, it is true that we have what we call health tourism. We have people who travel to the Federation for medical reasons, and as a result, that will constitute our health tourism, and that is good. The Prime Minister also spoke about getting an accredited hospital, and that might even increase our health tourism figures much more, which is an excellent move. But the time frame in which it's supposed to be done, we got to be very realistic. It is nice to be positive, but it is always better to be realistic. I don't see anything wrong with mentioning issues, major issues that we have at the hospital. He did not say he's going to ignore them. He mentioned so you could get an idea of the work that he intends to carry out at our major hospital, so then our minds can be appeased and we can look forward to improve healthcare in areas where those equipment and apparatuses would be needed. It is being honest. If something is wrong, something is wrong. I really don't see the need to put energy into trying to put a spin on what he would have said. We got to be realistic, man. We ask for things and we get them. Then you say that somebody should not have said it. And that is why we are going to be a country of many secrets and a country where only half the story would be told most times. We can't afford that. We got to get out of that mindset. If we have problems, we have problems. Identify them. Identify them. So if you go to the hospital to do something and you realize, oh, this is not up as yet. Yes, the Prime Minister did mention that. So I am living with high expectations that this would be in working order, working condition. It would be functioning in a particular time frame. Sometimes it is not always a situation where you can prescribe the time frame. Something you just cannot. I know clinicians like to tell you that they're going to do this by this time and that time. And you see, you have to be careful when you are expecting time frames, because sometimes somebody would know something will last 3 months. But because they know that you're so sensitive and itchy about time frame, they will tell you 8 months. And 8 months will amply cover the 3. And even if you happen after 2.5, you could say, okay, he said 8. But sometimes a person with a conscience might not want to tell you 8 months because they know it will be closer to 3. So we have to understand that it's a give and take. Give and take. Just like when you have capital projects and you have time overrun. Because sometimes certain things come up that you did not plan for, or you didn't even expect to happen, even based on the best of experiences that you might have had. So I would like to say to the PM, keep on telling us about our problems. Don't care when the problem started. Just assure us that based on the trajectory, we're heading towards improvement. If you know for a great degree of certainty, then you can apply a time frame based on your consultations with your technocrats. And even after the technocrats would have tell you 3 hours, based on experiences around here, you could well tell them it happened in 5 hours. Give yourself some breathing space. And my advice to him, you don't have to reply to everything. You don't have to reply to everything. The position comes with that. The position comes with that. You hear, you internalize, give yourself some time to respond. If there's a need to respond. Or sometimes you call on the appropriate minister who might be deeper into that ministry than you are. If a particular ministry or department within a ministry is subjected to a lot of issues, then that particular minister could come and have a conference with the people. Of course, you can delegate responsibility, but you cannot delegate accountability. But that doesn't say that ministers must sit back and you have to always go out front to do the work for them. Yes, as Prime Minister, you must know what's going on in every ministry. But come on, you're not Jesus. And you cannot micromanage every single ministry. It's like accounting. You got the individual ledgers or accounts, the accounts, and you have somebody managing those stuff. But you higher up, all you might be able to talk about the totals. So you utilize a control account where you can look and see, well, this is the total credit balance, this is the total debit balance. You set off this against that and everything else. You are interested in totals because you cannot come down to the microscopic level. You cannot micromanage every single thing that is going on in a particular minute. And that is reality. If something becomes of grave concern, then you become more intimate with the issue. And having gotten more intimate with the issue, then you can make your suggestions because ultimately, yes, you are accountable. So you cannot lend a deaf ear or blind eye to certain issues. But when they are affecting a reasonable number of the populace, then you get involved. Peruse it. And if you have to make an impact via an output, you do that. Or if you have to instruct the minister, because you're in charge. And you must never have any doubt that you are in charge. The others are only carrying out responsibilities that were delegated to them. Accountability is yours. But at the same time, you cannot overwhelm yourself with micromanagement of persons who should have the capacity and ability to do what they have to do. And you have to be mindful that it is not everybody who shakes your hand is telling you congratulations. It's not everybody. And like I would have said before, when you started out, you have to have an advice sifter. People advising, you have to try to sift out some of it and know what you shall retain. I know that your grandmother told you about. At times you have to let something go through one ear and come through the other. You just have to disregard certain things at a particular time. More sensitive ones, you give it your attention. unless you'll continue to be distracted over the next 5 years. And you're not there for that. I know once given a fair enough opportunity, you can do a great job. But there is no leader who can do a great job without the support system in place. So whatever can be done to improve the support system, make a concerted effort to work on that. There'll be resistance. But when dealing with issues for the general public, all these efforts must come up with a great degree of oneness. People have ambitions. People have ambitions even within your own government. They have ambitions. Just like you had, there are others who have. But the reality is that it is your time. And you have to make sure that the time, energy, and other sacrifices that are put in reap the appropriate amount of dividend. The appropriate amount of dividend. So please, keep on informing us when something is not perfect in our healthcare system so that we can anticipate improvement or complete replacement. There are certain things that you might have to fix and fix and fix and fix, and it might end up becoming more expensive than having it replaced. A decision would have to be made. But that decision would have to be made in a timely manner, because there are certain things that would have to continue in motion, functioning, when you're still making an attempt to have it either repaired or replaced. There's always some overlap. But when would be the opportune time to carry out these corrective measures, whether via repairing or replacing? And sometimes that is where things would spiral out of control. Because the thing you want to replace, you can't even do without it for a few hours. So you almost simultaneously would have to install the additionality while you work on the one that is going to be replaced, and then you have a smooth transition. Still will take up some time, because it will take some time to get everything connected. But from me to you, I think that your trajectory is looking great. You just need to be as confident as you are right now. If you have to ask for a little bit more texture in your support system, so because some support system, you have the structure, but it is not of any great texture. Some support system, they lack structure, or you can simply say that they are amorphous, lacking structure. Whatever lacks structure, give it shape, form. Having done that, put some quality to it and give it texture. That is my advice to you going forward. But keep on keeping on. You're a young man, and you can only become better. And I wish you well. Well, we have come to the end of our session for tonight, and we're looking forward for next week. I think we will have the General Surgeon again back with us. We have not finalized the topic that we are going to do next week, Thursday, as yet. And then the following week, I might try to have the herbalist come on with me so that we can work out a way that something can be built for the younger persons to be able to recognize plants that can be of medicinal value to us. Okay, so wish you all the best in the rest of today, Thursday, and that you have a bright and hopeful Friday tomorrow.
The opinions and statements made by the host and participants in this program are not those of the owners, advertisers, and management company of Sugar City FM 90.3, nor are such statements necessarily supported or endorsed by the owners, managers, or advertisers of this station. While we encourage all to share their opinions, we do not support any comments that may slander, discriminate, or otherwise offend anyone, and we insist that you refrain from any such statements.
Fellow citizens, near